So the Matt Duchene contract today, he re-signs in Dallas, 4 years, $4.5 million.
Here we
If you're
go.
if you're Brad Treliving and you're waiting for a call from the representative of John Tavares, how are you using the Duchene deal and applying it to your conversations with John?
Well, this is a big thing with Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene signed a $56 million 7-year deal with the Nashville Predators. He ended up getting bought out. And now when you look at the 4 years that he got in terms of total salary, he got $36 million from Nashville, plus his buyout of $13.33 million, plus now what he's signed with Dallas. Over the course of the 7 years, when it ends next year, that'll be the 7-year cycle, he will have made more in AAV at 8.55 approximately than what he was making at $8 million when he signed that contract. So, the Dallas Stars took advantage of a situation, and certainly Matt, it fit for Matt and whatnot. But I mean, when you look at the whole overall value of the 7 years, it's more. So I don't think unless John Tavares comes to Brad Treliving and says, "Hey, you know what? I'm happy to play here. Put a number on paper if it's $5 million." I can't speak for John Tavares. Maybe that's what's important to him. But at the end of the day, I think if John Tavares gets to the market, he's going to be very, very surprised and happy at the same time what teams are willing to pay him.
Well, that is the
What
truth,
are
and what
is that number, guys? Like, what does that mean, Craig?
He had 38 goals. I think that number is $7.5 million, maybe $8 million. Steven Stamkos signed for $32 million over 4 years last summer. You can't tell me that what John Tavares did this year isn't a similar framework.
Yeah, well, I think that's a reasonable I think it's an accurate comparison. Now, the difference would be now we've seen what happened with Stamkos in Nashville, and I'm curious if teams look at that and say maybe we should take that into consideration. Secondarily, Stamkos is a Stanley Cup winner and John's not. I'm trying to figure out how you put the two together. I mean, there's 31 other teams, so if it's a team that's not thinking we're cup competitive right now, 7 or 8 million, if you're in a cup window, I don't know if you can justify that for John. And I think the Leafs are different personally. I mean, I look at the Leafs like they gotta start winning some of these contracts. They gotta, I think, hold his feet to the fire. And if he doesn't want to agree to that, no problem. But if I'm the Leafs, I'm looking at this saying I can't pay you 7.5. There's just no way.
Which is fair, Brian. And like so if John wants to come back to the Toronto Maple Leafs and play for less than what he can get in the open market, I fully get that.
Yep.
I mean, John has loved playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been a terrific person representing the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been a very, very good player for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But you're right. So if other teams and you want to justify it, but I think John, you just hit something that I think is that I would suspect is important to John Tavares. Where could I go to have a chance at winning the Stanley Cup? And I think that he would be willing to take less money to go to a contender than he would to take less money to play in Toronto.
Yeah, and that is a very important conversation that I don't know if Leaf fans want to hear right now. Like, people are getting crazy with the McDavid stuff. If he wants to win, the Leafs haven't won in 60 years. Like, the Leafs aren't the pinnacle of winning.
Yeah, that's not the threat, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not like the threat is not the Leafs will help you win. I mean, and let's be clear, like John came up here, he wanted to win. Of course he wanted to win, but he also wanted to come home. He wanted to play at home, and that is an interesting question. Like, what are the priorities right now? Is it comfort? Is it home? Is it winning? Is it money? And we don't have the answers, but we're going to find out in the next week and a half.
So would it surprise you guys if he waited to see what the Toronto Maple Leafs do? Like who they could acquire in free agency, how the fallout of free agency, i.e. Mitch Marner, whatever Brad does, where John just sits back and goes, "Hey, wait, you know what? I'm just gonna take my time here." Would that surprise you?
Well,
it wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise you, Craig? You're saying
no? If he waited.
Yeah. See, that's the game of chicken that fascinates me, because I think what John could be risking is the Leafs say, "Actually, we found something, and it's a replacement." And thank you for your services. Like,
anyone plays the waiting game, it's always a risk for someone to be sitting.
It could go the other way,
standing without a chair.
Right. And that's the question: that like who's in a position of power right now? Is it John or is it the Leafs?
It wasn't a risk for Nazem Kadri. He waited.
Yeah. And in terms of what? When he went
to Calgary.
When he went to Calgary afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he got paid, that's for sure. But do you think he wanted to stay in Colorado?
Well, I think that he was trying to find a way to stay in Colorado. But, I mean, the money became such that I don't think good players are ever going to pay a price. And, again, if the agent and John is represented by CAA, they're top-quality agents and representatives. Stamkos is represented by Newport. We know how the top agents operate. So much like Nazem Kadri, hey, here's what we're looking at. Nazem Kadri was offered more money outside of Calgary, but the fit in Calgary and the communication that they were continuously having to try to make it happen. And Brad Treliving was the manager there when he signed him.
Right.
And so Brad had to do some maneuvering, and had to move some money out and move some players out, and he did do that. And that's why I say, I don't think John Tavares will get hurt by waiting. I think John Tavares, if he really wants to stay in Toronto, he just got to be honest and say, here's what I'm waiting to see what you guys can do. Because I think that John is focused on trying to find a way to compete for a Stanley Cup.